Schmack-a-magob, everybody. It's time for me to review an album. And it just so happens to be my favorite Anthrax album. This is a weird vinyl. Got this from my Metal Merchant. It's not only fistful of metal, but it also brings the EP. How do you open this thing? Here you go. You gotta move the face. And then it opens up with a bunch of collages and stuff. And well, you kind of see the Armed and Dangerous EP there on the side. Now this album is very special to me. This is my favorite Anthrax album. It's the most unique album, if you ask me, in the Anthrax catalog, because the influences, like later on, you listen to the beginning of Among the Living, the crunching, gun, 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 gun. That's total Metallica influence. Spreading the Disease, my second favorite. I love that album. There's a little bit of, you hear a little bit of New York hardcore. But this right here, this is pure metal. Metal. They didn't find themselves yet. And I'm glad they didn't on the first album, because this album, tell you how I discovered it. Man, I did such a great purchase when I bought this compilation album here called Metal Hammer. The bands I discovered on here are amazing bands, Anthrax being one of them. And I'll read down like all that's on here. Starts with Merciful Fate Evil. Now that one I already knew. Raven, I didn't know Raven yet. This is how I discovered Raven. Mind Over Metal on here. Merciful Fate, it's evil. Venom Poison, yes, I knew about Venom. Satan, I never heard of them. With No Turning Back, I had to get that album, Caught in the Act, when I heard that. Thunderfire, and I pulled it out because, in case some of you don't know, I am now on bravewords.com, and I'm going to do a little short talking about this amazing album called band, very obscure band called Thunderfire. They only released one album, and they are awesome. And the song on this one, Danger, and it was so difficult to find this that I actually found this finally when I got on the internet in 1999, and this album was released in 1984. So it was like a good 14, 15 years till I finally hunted this down for dirt cheap too. So worth it. Check out bravewords.com. I talk about this. Cloven Hoof, Crack the Whip. That shit's badass. Motor Breath, Metallica. I already knew Metallica. Tokyo Blade, If Heaven Is Hell. Never heard of them. That blew my mind. I had to get Metal Rendezvous. Tokyo Blade. The Rods, Born to Rock. Never heard of them. And I bought that live album. And after that, I bought pretty much all Rods albums. Battle Axe, Running Out of Time. I didn't run out and buy that one, but I dig the song. Saxons on Fire from Exodus. Exciter. Never heard of them. Ran out and bought Violence and Force. And it ends with Metal Thrashing Mad. And I had to get Fistful of Metal, which I don't have no more, because I gave that album away like an idiot when I got it on CD. So let's run this down. Number one, I want to talk about, there's some people that can't get into Neil Turbin's voice. Too bad for you, because I get it, and it's awesome. I love the man's voice. Love his screams. Tell you a quick story of Neil Turbin. When my band Thrash and I played the Culture Room once, there he was. And you couldn't mistake, man, he's a tall guy. And I was like, oh my God, there's Neil Turbin. And we became friendly after the show, and he was friends with my friend Yachty. And then Yachty lived 2 blocks from my house, and he came over to Yachty's house. I went over there, spent the night hanging out with him, and it was just amazing. And Dan Lilliker, who wrote 75% of this album, was kicked out of the band 2 days prior to this release, which is a bummer. Dan Lilliker, to me, you cannot get more metal than Dan Lilliker. I hung out with him with that SOD reunion in '99, and man, he went to my car. and we all hung out in the car. You know, what do they call that? Something box. We're token weed. I don't do that anymore because weed is so strong now it makes me pass out. But listening to Merciful Fate, the guy is just too cool. And then you got Charlie and Scott and Dan Spitz on here. And Dan Spitz, man, what an underrated guitar god. All right, starts off with my all-time favorite Anthrax song, Death Rider. What a song, man. I love John Bush, and I'm sure it's not his fault. But that Greater of Two Evil album they released, they did all the old Anthrax song. That version's atrocious and very blasphemous because they turn it into this bouncy thing that's just horrible, where this is just straight up metal, fist through your face, amazing. Favorite Anthrax song. Metal Thrashing Mad, as I told you, I discovered from this album. And it makes me wonder, did Anthrax kind of coin the phrase thrash with Metal Thrashing Mad? I don't know. I know when I bought this back in the day, I didn't know of any genre of music, you know, anybody saying, oh, that's a thrash album. That came later. I'm 18. Yeah, I think it's the only bum track. If it wasn't for that track, it would be All Killer No Filler. Might have been Johnny Z's idea. I'm figuring, I think. You know, it just, and it doesn't even fit on the album. It sticks out like a sore thumb. Them doing, you know, the Alice Cooper song, 18. It's not horrible or atrocious, but it just doesn't belong on this album. Then, man, I don't know, man. Panic is kind of tied for my second favorite track on this album. What an insane drumming and riffage on it. Wow, killer stuff. The only time I never got to see this tour, but Spreading the Disease came down here at the +5 Lounge. No, it was Artstock's Playpen, and yeah, they played a lot of these songs, which, you know, it was Belladonna by then, but still, and Frank Bella, but still, I got to see them do Panic. And Death Rider, and a couple more. Subjector, awesome. The guitar playing. Danny Spitz, like I said, so underrated. Ripping song. Love it. And that's just side one. Side two starts with Soldiers of Metal. And we rule! I love when he says that at the end. And then the notes, like, tonight, the way he hits those highs. See, I did see Neil Turbin perform, and you can punch it up on YouTube. Check out Neil Turbin now. Doesn't sound like this, but his voice to me is stronger. He's got much more of a mature, strong voice, and he can still hit those notes when he has to, because he's done covers of Metal Thrashing Mad with the Death Riders and stuff, and he can still hit those notes, but I think his voice is even better now than it was then, and I absolutely love his voice on here. He is my favorite Anthrax singer. I mean, John Bush, to me, is the best technically, in my opinion. I love Belladonna. He's amazing, too. But for Anthrax, I think Neil Turbin was the perfect fit. A lot of you out there don't think that. You'd probably think Bush or Belladonna or Dan Nelson. But, no, for me, it's Neil Turbin. But, you know, also, timeline. This wasn't popular when it came out. You know, it was kind of one, you know, what I've heard people call as diamond in the pocket. It's your diamond in the pocket till everybody discovers it. Then it's no longer your diamond anymore. It's everybody's diamond. This was my diamond before, I'd say, yeah, Spreading the Disease, they started to take off a little bit. Among the Living, they blew up. But Soldiers of Metal, that's a total metal song. Now, the next one, Death from Above, I have a hard time thinking, what is better? Death from Above or Panic? They're so kind of, you know what? I will give the slightest edge to Death from Above because of that middle section. Those riffs going on in the middle. Unbelievable. Awesome stuff. That type of riffage here, you don't hear no more in Anthrax album. I mean, I think the closest Anthrax ever got to this album afterwards was Lone Justice from Spreading the Disease. That could have fit on this album, but I don't think anything else could have. Maybe Armed and Dangerous a little bit. Maybe. it still would kind of like sound a little weird on it, but Lone Justice wouldn't. I think Lone Justice would fit fine on this album. But yeah, Death from Above, probably my second. Yeah, it is my second favorite. Death Rider, Death from Above, Panic, amazing stuff. Top 3. Then the next song is Anthrax. Awesome, awesome. And that's also, I think it was a bonus track, but it's on the vinyl of Greater Two Evils. I actually prefer that over the Death Rider remake with John Bush. Anthrax with John Bush sounds great. And I love it. Great song. But man, this album just doesn't let up. Like after I'm 18, it's just bam, 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 bam. You know, catch a little bit of breath there in Soldier in the Metal because it's still fast and furious, but not intensely insane like the rest. Like Across the River. Across the River is this instrumental that it's so, then it sounds Anthrax. That's the Anthrax I love. It's so, doesn't sound like anybody else in my ears. But then there's that section where it sounds, it's total Maiden worship. But everything else, and Dan going off on, I guess, the whammy bar, it's just amazing. And it ends with Howling Furies. That's another one I remember they played at Arstock's Playpen with Across the River. And great, great ending. I mean, it kind of slows it down, still fast and heavy, but not as intense as all the other songs, but still just as awesome as all the other songs. Like I said, you take out I'm 18, this would be all killer, no filler. Anthrax, Fistful of Metal. Tell me what you all think. I know most of you don't like it, or most of you would not put it as your favorite. Understandable, because that's you, and you're you, and I'm me. To me, because of this album, I discovered so many killer bands, and thank God I got to hear this before Armed and Dangerous and Spreading the Disease, which I love that EP. I love Spreading the Disease. That would be my favorites after this. And oddly enough, after that, you know, you would probably figure Among the Living, but Among the Living to me was kind of a letdown. I liked like half of it, like side one. I didn't like nothing off side 2. But after this, Armed and Dangerous, Spreading the Disease, believe it or not, my favorite Anthrax album, which I love and I should do a review on it, is Sound of White Noise. That album's incredible. I absolutely love that album. And it's a far cry. Doesn't sound like this. Nothing in the Anthrax discography sounds like this. This is, to me, Anthrax at its purest. You know, they became something else afterwards. This was, and you know, the look, the leather, and jeans and stuff before the silly shorts. Great stuff, man. And here's a picture of them with Carl Kennedy, the guy that produced the album, that is the drummer in The Rods that I discovered on this album. So there you go, man. I had to make an episode on this amazing album, Fistful of Metal. It rules, and it rules hard. Now let me put it back how it should be. Like that. Then he turns red. See, this is Anthrax today, and this is Anthrax looking back at their silly shorts. Oh boy, I'm so embarrassed. Anyway, that's it. Love it. Love Fistful of Metal. To me, the essential, greatest Anthrax album. Hands down. So thank you all for watching, and if you'd like to donate, I got a PayPal in the description below, and please subscribe to my channel if you have not, and check me out on bravewords.com, and leave some likes and some good comments so they don't fire me. Right on, everybody, and please subscribe to my channel if you have not, and ring that little notification bell, because I got a video up just about every day. No, I do have sometimes I have 2 up a day. Gee, most times I have 2 up a day. So, again, thank you for watching. You all rule, and stay frosty. Listen to Black Sabbath, and smack 'em a ga ba he not.